think it's going to be a fun discussion, an insightful discussion. It could be a little controversial, but the goal is not to have the controversy unless it guides us to higher levels of understanding. Okay. So, at the end of the day, my goal is to create light, but to create light in such a way that everybody wins, everybody benefits, and not in such a way that that is not productive, not helpful to people, and not helpful to the community. So I want to say, hey, how you doing, Chicago Let, and Jay Wright, and African Natty, and I see S&J Consulting Services. How you doing? So let's just jump right into it. Stephen Jones and Lawrence and John Doe. All right, so here's what I wanted to address. For some reason last night, I don't know why, things come to me in my dreams when I'm sleeping. I don't know if that makes me weird or smart or whatever. I don't know what I am, but things come to me while I'm sleeping. And one of the things that came to me was the Black church. And I know what it was. I think I heard something that someone else said about the church. And I felt that we needed to kind of flesh out a little bit of what was said. I think that when it comes to the Black church, there are conversations that are had that are necessary, but not always productive. Discussions that are kind of beneficial, but not as beneficial as they could be if they were had in a different context. I mentioned it on my Instagram. Hey, LaBelle, how you doing? On the real Boyce Watkins, that's my Instagram. I brought it up to you guys this morning, and I saw that there were a lot of mixed comments on the topic. And I thought that it would be worth it to dig a little deeper into this and try to really flesh out a conversation about the Black church. Now, I want to make this 100% clear. I want to start off right here. First things first, I want to make sure that you understand this. If you're looking for a conversation where I'm going to bash the Black church, you're in the wrong place. That's not what I'm going to do. That's not what I want to do. I don't think it's beneficial to do that. I don't think it's accurate to do that. The reason I don't think it's beneficial or accurate, first of all, it's not beneficial because you can't get someone to consider modifying their approach if all you're doing is, talking crazy about them and telling them how much you hate them and you think that they're stupid and everything else. And I think that there's enough out there for that. There's enough people out there that will tell you, all the flaws of, everything from white Jesus to what some of the pastors do and pimps in the pulpit and everything else. And not to say that all those things are not true, not to say that those things don't happen, but it's to say that that's not relevant for a conversation like this. Also, the reason it's not accurate is because it's almost like when white folks want to plaster Michael Jackson and R. Kelly and Bill Cosby on national TV, and they want the world to think that every Black male is a threat, every Black male is a predator, and we know that's not accurate. Well, I think that when we plaster the most corrupt pastors up in front of the world, we plaster the most ratchetry, the most ratchet church in America in front of everybody, we're giving people the impression that the entire Black church and everybody in it is ratchet and stupid and harmful to the community. I'm not one of those people. I happen to have a father who's a pastor. I happen to have friends that I respect who run churches. For example, I have a friend named Kevin Cosby out of Louisville, Kentucky, who runs St. Stephen's Church, which is the largest Black mega church in the state of Kentucky. And I happen to think he does a great job. I happen to think that he's a great intellectual. I happen to think that he's a guy that has a tremendous vision for that church. It's not without controversy, but he's doing the best he can with what he has, and I believe his heart's in the right place. So I'm not here to bash the Black church. So if that's what you're looking for, I'm not your guy on this. What I am, though, is I'm a person that wants to lay out a discussion. Now, hit the thumbs up button, by the way. If you're on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button. We need you to hit the thumbs up button so more people will see the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. I am the guy who can come along and say, okay, let's look at what we've got. Let's think about the church like a great player on your basketball team. We're team Black people. We're all on the same team. We're all in the same gang, so to speak, right? And as members of the same team, we got this player on the team who's 6'11", 250 pounds of pure muscle, who we think could be better than LeBron, but and he's a good contributor, but he's not scoring as many points as he could, right? He should be averaging, 28, 29 points a game. He's averaging 14. So he's contributing, but he's not excelling at the level that we believe that he can excel. That's how I view the Black church. I view the Black church as an institution that has value in the community. I believe the Black church has value in the community. We don't have many institutions in the community. They destroyed our institutions. In integration, their goal was to tear down everything you got so you become dependent on what they got. Their goal was to get you to kill off everything that you have so that you can become entirely dependent on what they have. They wanted you to burn down your house to come live in their house. And now you see how that's working out for you. How's that old integration civil rights thing working out for you, Black people? Tell me how you feel. Go ahead, make a comment. Talk Black to me right now. I need somebody to tell me, how's that integration, George Wilson, how's that integration thing working out for you? Do you feel empowered when white people are telling you what to do every day? Do you feel empowered when they're controlling your life? Do you feel empowered when people like, Donald Trump get to decide what your budget is going to be this year? I mean, do you feel empowered by this? Yes or no? Yes or no, Black people? Tell me if you feel empowered right now. Well, the reason you're not empowered is because you don't have institutions like you used to. You used to have, your own schools. You don't have those anymore. You used to have your own businesses. You don't have those anymore. You used to have strong, stable families. You don't have those anymore. The only institution that you have is the church. The only institution you really have left actually is the Black church, right? So I'm not here to tell everybody pack up your stuff and let's go down and see how Jesus is doing this morning. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even go to church. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a church goer. But I am a person who sees this when I'm looking at this Black power thing on a larger scale. I see the Black church as an important player on Team Black people. I think the church is one of the few places where there's structure. The church is one of the few places where there are resources. The church is also one of the few places where you actually do have good leadership in there. I mean, let's stop getting into this habit of putting every church in the same bucket. There are thousands and thousands of churches out here. They're not all the same. We know that, right? Life Lesson says, I'm new to your channel. He's so glad to catch you live. Well, I'm glad to see that you're here and welcome to the family. And just so you know, I am a crazy Black man. So just be ready for a hell of a roller coaster ride. I'm going to probably upset you and make you mad about once a week. And so just think of me as the crazy uncle who every now and then he says something that makes some sense. Okay. So that's what I am. Just call me the crazy Uncle Boyce. All right. So and keep hitting that thumbs up button. Please do that. Please hit the thumbs up button. That brings more people into the conversation. Also, of course, share and subscribe to drboycetv.com. We're building Black media. We're reaching 1 million people a week or more. So we need your help. So please right now hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you want notifications when we go live, you want to be in the loop when we go live, all you have to do is text my name, text Boyce, B-O-Y-C-E, to 31996. Do that. That's really important also because YouTube and Facebook, they throttle, they don't tell everybody when you go live. And I want you guys to know when we're live. So if you want us to be able to notify you, please text the word Boyce to 31996. Am I hosting any classes in New York City? Not anytime soon, but pretty soon I'm going to do a little bit of something. But so anyway, so let's keep going. Okay. So, if you are a member of a church or part of church leadership, I want to let you know first and foremost that I'm not going to come in and talk crazy about how much money the pastors are making or what kind of car the pastor's driving. I'm not going to say anything about the building fund, which we know. So you got some churches where they always got the building fund for 30 years and ain't no building getting built, right? Like it's like one of those invisible schools where you collect lots of money to build the school and the school never gets built. That's me. That's me being sneaky and silly right there. But y'all get the point. So I'm not here to question the fact that the churches get together every week to save souls. That's, you know, if that's where your heart is, then I respect that. Here's what I want to propose to you is this. When you are a steward of wealth, when you are a manager of resources, there is a certain responsibility placed upon you to be able to maximize the benefits of those resources. Now, I'm a finance professor. I've been teaching college students finance for 25 years, so I know finance extremely well. And one of the things that we know about finance and about wealth and about capital is that in an appropriate, or what they will call an efficient market, in a market that is well functioning, capital should be placed to or in its most productive use. Capital should be maximized in terms of how it's used. What does that mean? Let me give you an example. Let's say that I own a car, and it's a great car. The car works. Car drives down the street just fine. Doesn't break down for nothing. And let's say that I don't even drive the damn thing. I keep the car in my garage. I just leave it in my garage and I don't use it for anything, right? Now, let's say my neighbor says, well, you know, I need to go to work every day to make money, and I don't have a car, right? Well, it would be kind of a waste, right? For me to have a car that I have in my garage that's just sitting there and not being used, and my neighbor needs a car. Let's say my neighbor is my brother, right? And my brother's like, hey man, I need a ride to work. I need a car I can drive to work. You know, can I use your car, right? Well, it would be silly for me to say, no, I want the car to sit in the garage. That's what I really want it to do. What would be a better deal would be for me to say, okay, sure, I'll sell you the car, right? Maybe I can even give it to him if it's for my brother, but if it's my neighbor and just a friend, I might say, hey, well, okay, give me 20,000, you can have it, it's yours, right? And so what basically is being done there is you're taking capital. Capital is something that is used to generate resources, to get more resources, right? Like it might be something that's used to make money in this particular case. So that car is a piece of capital. When people talk about Black people lacking capital, what they're saying is that Black people don't have enough things in place that allow them to generate more income. That's why we all have to go to work for white folks, because the only type of capital you have is what they call human capital, which is basically labor. You know, the same stuff you used during slavery, except now you're just a paid slave instead of an unpaid slave. Slavery means that when you get up in the morning, you don't get to decide what you're going to do. Somebody else decides what you're going to do. So don't think that you have to be unpaid in order to be a slave. That's just not true. There are plenty of slaves that are very high paid. You have some celebrities in Hollywood who are slaves who make $10 million a year. So let's just be clear about that. So effectively, this car, which is a piece of capital, must be in a good market, put to its best available use, which means that if my neighbor can buy that car from me and go make an extra 80,000 a year, then it makes sense for him to own the car and not for me to have the car, because I'm just sitting the car in the garage. Well, all that money that the church is collecting, all that money the church is bringing in for the building fund or whatever it is, that is capital. And what I'm arguing is that this capital may not be put to its best available use for a couple of reasons. One of which, not the least of which, is that I wonder if the leadership and the individuals who control that capital are as economically aware as they should be in terms of what the best use for that capital might be. You know, so if a church is collecting, $20,000 a week, let's say, you know, are they the people that bring in that 20 grand a week? Are they trained in financial literacy? Do they understand how to invest? Do they understand how to create a job? Do they understand how to start a business? Do they understand the basics of real estate? Do they understand what to do with that money in order to take that money and turn it into more money, or to activate that money and do something that's going to benefit as many people as possible? Can they do like Jesus did in the Bible? Didn't Jesus take a fish or something and find a way to feed 300 people or something with one fish? I don't remember the whole story. See, I told you I don't go to church. I ain't gonna lie. But wasn't there a story where Jesus took a piece of fish and fed everybody with the fish, right? Well, that's what I'm talking about. Jesus took a little bit that was handed to him and was able to maximize that capital by making sure everybody benefited from the capital and not just a few. He could have just took the fish and ate it himself, but instead he was somehow able to, because of his skill, able to take that one piece of fish or bread or whatever, well, maybe it was fish and bread or fish and chips, or I don't know, and feed everybody, right? Well, what I believe is that churches that are properly managed, churches that are run by people who understand the essence of finance and investing and economic development, can be designed in a way where you're maximizing the number of people that you're feeding. That you're feeding, you're feeding 1,000 people as opposed to feeding 20 or 50 or 100, right? So let's look at this in a couple of examples. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you want to know when we go live, somebody type this number in, 31996. That's the text number, 31996. Text Boyce, my name Boyce, to 31996, and you'll be notified when we go live. Also, don't forget we're on iTunes now. So if you want to listen to my show on your way to work, and I'm live all the time. I'm always talking about the issues of the day, from financial topics all the way to stuff like Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, or whatever Black folks are talking about. We're talking about that here. We're on iTunes, so you can look up my name, Boyce Watkins, on iTunes, and you can download the show. Okay, so if you think about it like this, think about the difference between an apple tree versus apple seeds, right? So the way churches run, many of them, and I can't put them all in one group because I told y'all churches are all different. So let's stop summarizing and saying all the churches are the same. That's just not true. A lot of churches I've seen, because of the nature of thinking for those in leadership and the way we traditionally run churches, they sort of run themselves like an apple tree that feeds lots of people with the apples that are on that tree, right? Most churches, if you actually look at the study, I was reading Black Enterprise. Black Enterprise analyzed what churches do with the money. Churches have collected, I think they collect Black churches collect $17 to $20 billion a year. They've collected a total of about $500 billion over the last 40, 50 years. 60% of that budget, 60% of the church budget goes toward staffing, right? So this idea that all the money is being put in the pastor's pocket so he can drive a Bentley, that's typically not true. That's just not true, typically. Don't get me wrong. Not to say there aren't pastors out here that are living large. I personally have never had an issue with that, largely because I believe that the pastor and the church, they're providing a service for people. It's no different from going to see a comedian. The comedian makes you laugh, and you don't care that the comedian is driving a Bentley because he makes you laugh, because you're basically saying, look, as long as you are entertaining me, I'll keep paying you, right? Well, the pastor, to some extent, for some people, he's providing a service. He or she is providing spiritual upliftment, entertainment of some form, not so much a ticket to heaven. I don't even think that really comes into play so much. I think it comes down to people picking their pastor and saying, this guy did a good job. He gave us his time. I'm going to give him a little something for his time. I don't have an issue with it because y'all paying white people all the time. Y'all pay white people for nothing. Y'all love giving money to white people for any damn thing. Y'all don't sit around and wonder, what the guy from Apple Computer, I buy a new iPhone every year. What's this son of a bitch doing with my money? Or I bought, I went out to McDonald's the other day. I heard the McDonald's CEO was driving a Bentley. He's corrupt. He's stealing from us. No, he performed a service and you paid him. Now, I'm not trying to say that every pastor is a wonderful person. I'm not saying that there aren't pimps in the pulpit, liars, cheaters, whatever. But I'm saying that sometimes we have this interesting standard where we're almost like we expect every person who runs a church to take a vow of poverty. I don't think they should have to do that, because the reason you come to that church is because they're performing a service for you. And if someone's performing a service for you, you should give them something for that. If you come to me and you talk to me and you make me feel better, I don't care if you're a therapist, a comedian, or a pastor, you make me feel better, then, why can't I take, I'm going to go up in here. Let me look at my wallet. How much money I got in my wallet? Let me just tell you, I'm going to tell y'all a little secret right now. I got a little change. I went to the ATM, right? And I got about $120 in my wallet right now. Do you know that most of this money is probably going to end up going to white people somehow? I'm going to end up out with the kids. We might go to, a fast food restaurant. This morning, the queen went out and she went to Dunkin' Donuts and got me. I said, hey, babe, give me a chocolate donut. Not the ones that are chocolate with the actual donut, but the ones that are like almost like glazed with chocolate frosting. And get me a croissant with sausage, egg, and cheese on it. This is money to white people, money to white people. I have a bottle of Aquafina water. Last time I checked, this is not a black-owned company. What else I got on my desk? Oh, here's another, look at this. So since I've been running and exercising, I've been eating Special K protein bars. This is what I eat to try to keep my weight down, because y'all know I'm trying to get slim, trim, and sugar free. I got a half marathon this weekend. I'm scared to death. I need y'all to pray to white Jesus and black Jesus to help me get through that race, and I'll keep y'all posted because I'm really nervous about that race. But I've been eating the protein bars. Special K is not a black-owned company. There's more money to white people. So look, here's the thing. Look, I'm not sitting here trying to say that every pastor is a wonderful person. I'm not trying to say that they're always doing what we would want them to do with that money. But I am here to say to you, look, man, come on. You're gonna give all that damn money to white people and no questions asked. Not one question asked. But I give $3 in the collection plate for the pastor who sat up there busting his ass for me for an hour and a half, sweating and damn near having a heart attack because he's old and been preparing his lecture the entire week. Why can't I give that man $3 and ask no question when I'm about to go give white folks $100 with no questions asked? Seriously, black. I mean, seriously. Again, I'm not justifying everything horrible that happens in the church. Lord Jesus knows I'm not going to do that. I am not going to justify every crazy thing that you've seen a pastor do. I'm just here to say that maybe we have bigger fish to fry, right? Maybe we have bigger fish to fry. Maybe sometimes, they say familiarity breeds contempt. So maybe it's because the pastor is black like us that we have a little more scorn toward him. Maybe, because he's black and he's touchable, right? You can't touch the head of Apple Computer, but you give them thousands of dollars before your life is over. You can't touch the head of Burger King, but you probably gave them some money too. You can't touch the head of Aquafina water, but I buy a lot of water, but that pastor, he becomes, in the minds of some people, he's that nigga over there. Look at that nigga driving that damn fancy car. What kind of shoes? He got those alligator shoes. It looks like he spent $250 on those shoes. Nigga over there, right? That's what we do. Some of us get really angry when we see another black person doing really, really well. And it's natural because we've been trained to hate each other. We've been trained to fight each other. We also have a community where there's a lot of despair. There's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of stress. White folks are beating all of us down, a lot of us down. And when you are abused, you tend to abuse other people around you. You abuse the people you love. A man who's being oppressed on his job will come home and slap his wife, even though his wife is the number one person in his corner, right? So that's what abuse kind of does to people. It causes you to abuse other people that are around you. So it is what it is. But here's the thing. So, look, when we're talking about pastors and we're talking about churches, what I'm really calling for is not so much a matter of churches being ashamed of themselves or being told that you're bad people. What I'm asking you to do is to consider this. Consider the fact that, as an institution that is in the black community, an institution that benefits from the black community, that benefits from the generosity of the black consumer, why not challenge yourselves to go to a level of higher learning and understanding so that you can not just better serve the people who serve you and give you their money, but you can also serve yourself. You can also serve yourself. What does that mean? Well, a lot of churches, again, let's go back to the numbers earlier from Black Enterprise. Churches make about $17 to $20 billion a year. Black churches do. About 60% of that budget goes toward paying staff. And then there's a lot of money that goes toward charity. Churches do a lot of charity. I remember when I was little, going and getting food at the church and playing basketball at the church, joining programs after school at the church. This stuff ain't free. This stuff ain't free. You might think it's free. You might expect it to be free. You might say, oh, well, because you work for the Lord, you should be doing everything for free. Just because it's free to you don't mean it's free around all the way around. Everything that's free has a price attached to it. So when somebody gives you something that is free, you gotta kind of think about that twice, right? You gotta realize it ain't free. Who's paying for this, right? So when the church is having free food, well, that food costs somebody some money somewhere. Or if somebody's volunteering to help you with your taxes at the church, well, that's their time. That's not free for them. Okay, so understand that the things that churches do free aren't really free. And so given that that's the case, but given that the many churches, the good ones anyway, the ones that are running as well as they can, they pay their staff, which means they're creating jobs for people, and then they do a lot of charity. Well, I want churches to go beyond doing charity for the community. I want them to think beyond charity, right? And instead of thinking about charity, I want them to focus on investment. Don't just give charity to your people, invest in your people. You see, charity is like this. Let's say that I'm in my family, and I'm in my family. I'm the patriarch of my family. I'm gonna tell you all the truth. I believe in patriarchy and matriarchy. I don't believe the word patriarchy is a bad word. That's why feminists get mad at me, because I don't fall for that liberal nonsense. I think liberals pulled a loop-de-loop on the minds of black people and got us all screwed up and scrambled and confused. So I'm the patriarch of my family. I'm a real man. I pride myself in being a man and standing up and taking care of lots and lots of people, and I love doing that. I love that role. But here's the thing: as the patriarchy, or as the patriarch, when you have a certain amount of income, you can do it a couple of ways. Like let's say an NBA star, he goes off to the NBA, he's making $1 million a year. Well, what happens? He naturally takes an economic leadership role, where people in the family who have economic problems come to him and ask for his help. Like the movie The Godfather. Anybody see the movie The Godfather? In the movie The Godfather, they started in the beginning, where everybody was coming to the Godfather's daughter's wedding, and he was just sitting in his office receiving people, and they'd come in and they'd kiss his ring. Godfather, I have this favor to ask, and he say, I will grant you this favor, right? And that's kind of what happens, right? And so you end up having people, you're the godfather or the godmother, and you've got some resources, and all these people are coming to you and your family that are asking you for help. And that's fine, and that's how a lot of families operate. The problem with that model is that as deep as it is, or as noble as it is, and it's consistent with the church's model as well. As noble as that model is, it's a tough model, because what happens is that everybody's coming to the patriarch, the matriarch, or the leader and asking for something, and they're taking something, but nobody's putting anything back. So if you're not careful, then you can end up having the person that's the source of economic support for everyone else going broke, because they're helping everybody. How many of you, tell me this, answer this question for me. How many of you have heard 1,000,001 stories about NBA athletes who get to the league and end up going broke? How many of you heard these stories? There's 1,000,001 stories out here. They're always on ESPN. They love to talk about black people who go broke, and then they love to blame it on their families, their entourages, or their own stupidity. How many of you have seen those stories? Yes, you've seen those stories. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's one part of those stories that they don't talk about. Many athletes go broke, not because they're just dummies, or they're just putting all their money in stripper thongs, or they're buying $3,000 shoes and $5,000 suits and $200,000 cars. A lot of them go broke due to generosity, excessive generosity. What happens is, in their families, they become the apple tree, and everybody's coming and picking an apple. Everybody's coming and they're just raping that tree. They're just getting every apple off the tree, pulling off every leaf, chewing on the bark, right? Now, what's going to happen? I want to ask you this question. I want you to follow this logically here. What happens to a tree if the tree has too many parasites? Every tree is going to have some parasites that are eating off the tree, all the way from the monkeys that grab fruit off the tree to the little bacteria or little insects that might chew on the bark. What happens to the tree if the tree has too many parasites that are consistently eating off the tree? The tree is going to die. The tree's going to die. right? Because everybody's coming to take something, but nobody's coming to give something, right? So, and a lot of you understand that. Tell me if you're in that role in your family where you get drained from all the people coming to you with their financial problems, asking for money, borrowing money, never paying it back, or just you go to dinner. They look at you when the bill arrives, right? You're looking at the bill, it's $300, $250 because you don't fed everybody, right? But you're the one trying to hold up all of this because you're the one who went to Harvard Law School and you're supposed to be the one that always has plenty of money. Well, that's why a lot of people that went to Harvard Law School end up going broke, because they become the tree and everybody else is showing up trying to pull apples off the tree. So the church is kind of in that role as well. At least churches that are managing their money properly, they become the tree and everybody comes to grab an apple. So so out of that budget, out of that money that they make every year, 60% of it goes toward paying the staff, and a big chunk of the rest goes toward charity. And then maybe the pastor gets something so he can pay his bills, or she can pay her bills. But most churches are not on this whole let the pastor drive a Bentley sort of thing. A lot of churches really are trying to do the work. So what I'm saying to churches is I believe that by having good economic leadership, well-trained economic stewards within that church, you can consider alternative models of economic development that go beyond the whole tree, give everybody an apple model. I believe that investing in the community can and should be as important as doing charity for the community. The reason that churches focus on the charity aspect is I believe that because there's this huge, I call it liberal, socialist, communist kind of influence that says, if you care about a group of people, what you do is you take everything you got and you just keep giving away, give, right? And those who understand economics at a deep level, like myself, that we see instantly that model is not sustainable. If you're giving everything away, then what's going to maintain the thing that's producing the thing that everybody's getting? It's like when I talk to Dr. Alicia, my queen, she's the mother of the year, always doing stuff for the kids. Give to the kids. Kids need something, mama. And she runs to their support constantly. And I told her, I said, no, we're going to stop some of that, because there have to be times where we take time to make sure that you are sustained as the mother. You're doing all the giving, but there are times where we need to give to you, because if we don't sustain you, then everybody loses. If you kill the tree, then there are no more apples. And so those who, for example, you have people out here that hate, they hate businesses. They think all rich people are terrible. They think if you got a business, I want to tear you down because you're exploiting, you're stealing from black folks or whatever. So they destroy all of that. They're like, you should give everything away. Or there are governments that will go in and they will take over the business and say, we're going to give everything to the people. Well, then what happens is they tear down the business, they tear down the means of production, they give everything away, and then a couple of years later, you have nothing left. Why? Well, because your means of production is now dead. It's now deflated. So that's what I explained to Alicia. I said, you're their mother. I'm not going to let them push you to the ground to where they kill you. And then ain't none of us got a person that we can go to anymore, because, wore the mother down. A lot of families like that. There are mothers that die because they're so busy taking care of everybody else that nobody ever stops to take care of the tree. Nobody stops and takes care of Big Mama, right? So I'm just telling you right now, tell me if you see this. Have you ever seen somebody that is so giving to other people that they don't take any time for themselves? They never take a spa day. They never take a break. They don't get enough sleep. They give away all their money. They give away all their time. They give away all their energy. And then they become drained. The next thing you know, they're depressed, in a straitjacket, broke as hell, can't do nothing for nobody. It's like driving the hell out of your car and you don't even stop to change the oil or put gas in that damn thing. How is your car going to get you down the street if you don't stop and take care of that car? So I believe that when you talk about a model that is charity-based versus investment-based, what you're doing is you're taking care of the tree so the tree can over time produce more apples. And then with those apples, you don't just focus on taking apples down and eating the apples. You plant apple seeds so that you can grow the tree, strengthen the tree, and grow other trees. you grow more apple trees. That's how investment's supposed to work. Investment is not supposed to be, it's like charity is where you benefit, I lose because I just gave you something, which is what they call a zero-sum game in economics, which means when you gain something, I'm losing something, right? That's not fun. It's not fun to live like that. But what if there was a partnership? This is what investing is. Investing is where I give you something and I get something back. Then I can give you more and then you can give me more back. And then we're both growing strong because we're helping each other out. And the only way you can tap into that model, though, the only way you can tap into that is you have to have a certain level of economic understanding, which goes back to my original point, which is why I mentioned to you very clearly that churches, in my opinion, should be led by people that have certain amounts of foundational economic understanding such that they know how to take what they have and do more with it. They know how to create maybe a symbiotic or a recursive relationship with the community so that I'm investing in you, which allows you to invest in us. We get stronger, you get stronger, everybody wins. Everybody wins. In fact, a good church, to me, is one where it's okay that the pastor might be rich by the time it's done, but also everyone that's part of the church, everybody's doing business with the church is doing better, right? That's what economic development is. Economic development is where you manage your resources in a certain way where everybody in your space is just doing better because you're creating an economy. That's how economies work. Do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button. If you're on YouTube, please stop and hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe to drboycetv.com. I want to say hi to everybody on the Your Black World channel as well. Also, in case you guys don't know, today's the last day to get 40% off the Dr. Boyce Economic Bundle Pack. I've got a series of digital lectures you can download that'll help you learn a whole lot of stuff about economics. So feel free, if you go to drboycebundlepack.com, there's a ton of lectures in there, like how to create your own family bank. The 2.5 hour long lecture I did with Minister Farrakhan's in there, where we talk about wealth, education, family, and community. An introduction to the basics of wealth building, how to create a business plan that puts your business on top, how to think like a millionaire, how to start a business with very little money, the rules of economic self-defense. All these lectures are about an hour and a half. So if you watch these with your family, you're going to really get like extensive economic training. So feel free to go check that out. You can go to drboycebundlepack.com. That's drboycebundlepack.com to get the discount. There's 40% off, and it's pretty awesome. I'm